Hi everyone, Mary Lou here. I'm in my kitchen today because I want to show you some fun Valentine food ideas, and today is my first video where I'm actually using my Aga, and I'm really excited about that. And so I've got my heart-shaped cookie cutters. I'm all ready to go, and I'm going to share the Aga and Valentine's Day. My Aga is a used Aga, and if you watched my Aga sagas, you know a little bit of the backstory of that, and it has taken actually several months to get the Aga up and going. I first wrote it down as a goal that I have an Aga back in May of 2021, and it's something I have literally wanted for 25 years. And for all that time, I've been playing the Aga game, where when I cook on a regular stove, I pretend I'm cooking on an Aga. And so now that I have the Aga, the transition from a regular stove to this one actually has been pretty easy, because I've been thinking about it for so many years and reading about it and watching videos and learning how to cook on an Aga. So it's been really fun, and it's so pretty, and it's so fun to have a wish and then a goal realized after so many years. Okay, so one of the things that we really enjoy doing is a British high tea. We were in Victoria, Canada, a couple of years ago, and we had the opportunity to go to kind of a fancy schmancy high tea. And so ever since then, I have been making Devonshire cream and to go with our scones. And so that's the first thing I need to start with our Valentine's Day food, because it actually is going to have to sit overnight. It'll be in the warming oven, and so that's just right around 160 degrees. And so I'm going to just put 2 cups of heavy cream right in the bottom of a very shallow dish. And this is a glass dish. And so it's just gonna go right down here in this warming oven, and it's gonna be there all night. So I just need to get that going. Of course, when it's finished, I will show you how that ends up. Well, I used pasteurized cream for the Devonshire cream, and it doesn't turn out as well. There's quite a bit of liquid still sitting at the bottom, but this part of it turned out actually really nicely. That's about what the Devonshire cream should look like. And so on a biscuit or a scone, that ought to be just right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Aga, how it works and what the ovens do. And so it has a main chamber in the middle that heats up. It's kind of like a boiler. And so it has a pretty significant exhaust vent. So the hottest oven is right here. This is the roasting oven. It runs at about 450 degrees. Then right below that is the baking oven at 350. And then this right in the middle are the controls for the oven, and this is a natural gas controlled Aga. And then up here we have the simmering oven that runs right around 200 degrees, and that 200 to 220, and that works like a crock pot. And then the bottom one is the warming oven, and it's right around 150 degrees. And then up on top, we have a warming plate. Sometimes people call that the Aga iron. We have a boiling plate, and so it's under that hood. And then over here is the simmering plate. Okay, so this is our Valentine's Day breakfast, and we're going to do pancakes, and I'm just using a little pancake mix. It's a small sample size here. I can show you now. Of course, if I was making for the whole family, I'd be making pretty much, I'd be making a big old batch for for my family because there are a lot of us. So I'm just going to add a cup of water, and I've got a little bit of that in with my pancakes. I have a plastic squeeze bottle, and so I'm just going to pour the batter right into the squeeze bottle. All right, now that we have our pancake batter, I'm going to lift this up, and I like to use this silicone mat on the simmering oven. It's called Bacoglide, very commonly used in England. I don't think I mentioned that this oven is made in England. That's where you find them mostly. Okay, so because we're doing this for Valentine's Day, I'm using this squeeze bottle, and I'm just going to put a heart shape right on the silicone mat there. I'm going to do a few, and I'm going to let that shape cook for just a minute. There we go. And then once I start to see bubbles around it, then I'm going to go ahead and come in and fill in the middle of our pretty heart-shaped pancakes. And that outside edge then also creates a little border so that your inside pancake can just fill in without spilling over the edge. So let's get those all filled in. And of course the batter will run a little bit. Oh, it looks like I did a little bit too much in one of them. Okay, and then we'll let those cook. And what we're watching for is these bubbles on top that are starting to pop, and then they'll be ready to flip. And there we go. And I don't know if you can see on camera, you've got a little bit of a heart outline, and then right on the middle, then you've got the cooked middle. So because we let that outside edge cook first, oops, I didn't flip that one very well. Now, one thing about pancakes, never, never, never push them down, ever, because you want your pancakes to be light and fluffy, not pushed down and solid. So never, never push them down. You want that air to stay in the pancake and create that nice fluffy pancake. And so we're going to let those finish cooking. Grab a plate. And you see how well they cook on the simmering plate. The boiling plate is too hot for this, but the simmering plate is just perfect. So I'm going to check that back side. There it is. That is pretty much a perfectly cooked pancake. So let's get another batch going, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to finish those off. I'm going to see if I write someone's name. I'm going to do Anne because her name is short. I'm going to write her name in it and then let that cook. And then I'll go ahead and do the rest of the flooding, and I'm going to see if that name comes through on the, when we flip it. It's fun to experiment with these things. Yeah. Okay, we'll see how those come out. So I'm going to hold this up. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there is a heart outline, and then right in the middle is the rest of the flooding. So that's how those pancakes come out, and I think that's really fun. I just flipped it, and what I saw is I should have written the name backwards, because when you flip it, the name comes up backwards, but it does show up, so that's pretty fun. So while those pancakes are finishing up, I've got some strawberries over here that I've washed, and I'm going to slice up, and then I'll show you how we like to eat these kinds of pancakes on a Valentine's Day morning. And I'll show you close up the one that I wrote the name in, so you can see the name that I wrote in there. Let's plate up a pancake. I'll put a couple of pretty pancakes on there, and of course you could put on some butter if you would like. and put on some of these cute heart-shaped pieces of strawberry. And then I want to show you a tool that we've used at our house for many, many years. I bought this years ago at a kitchen store, and we really love this. We use it a lot. And so it's actually a whipped cream maker. And so it has a lid, and inside is a little gasket, and that's really important that you keep track of that gasket. And then you just put 2 cups of your heavy cream in there. And one reason we like this is to buy those squirty things of whipped cream at the store. There's always sugar in them, and we try to limit the amount of sugar that we have. And so then that goes on, and then here's the really fun part. You use these CO2 cartridges, and it goes just right into this thing, and then it screws right into the top, and I'm going to let you hear how this sounds. So then the CO2 is released into the canister, and it whips it. It basically, aerosolizes it and then makes it so it will come out as whipped cream. And then I just let that be, and then I can take that out, and now that CO2 cartridge is spent, so that can be thrown. And then we put on the little nozzle and give it a good shake, and the canister is cold. And you can put flavoring in this. We never have, just because, if we're using it for cocoa or for pancakes like this, we want just the plain whipped cream. We don't want all of the additives that go in it. So then you shake it up, and then it comes right out, just like whipped cream from the canister. So there, you can put it on your fun heart-shaped pancakes and your pretty strawberries, and there is a fun Valentine's Day breakfast. Let's see how that tastes. Just get a nice bite with the strawberries, the pancake, and the cream. Really good, not overly sweet. It's just a really nice fluffy pancake, and with the strawberries and cream, you just can't go wrong with that. Okay, for our Valentine's Day dessert and for a gift to give to friends and neighbors, I'm going to get the dessert started because I need some parts of it to melt on the back of the Aga. And so I'm going to put 1 cup of peanut butter, and I did this recipe in my last minute Christmas gift for neighbors video if you want to see the full recipe, but today I'm doing just the half recipe. So I've got 1 cup of peanut butter and about 3 cups of white chocolate, and I am just going to set that right on the back of the Aga, because the surface of the Aga is warm, and it's the perfect temperature for melting chocolate. The warming plate is a little too warm for melting chocolate, although I could do that if I put down a towel and then put my bowl on it. That's the perfect temperature for melting chocolate. A lot of people use the warming plate to iron their dish towels and pillowcases. So you just put them on there, fold them really neatly, put them on there flat, stack them up, and within a few hours, everything is ironed. I haven't tried that yet, but I'm gonna do it. So that's our dessert just started. So the next thing we're going to make is a nice little something for lunch or for a nice healthy snack. And so let's get that going. So for our nice healthy Valentine's snack, I'm going to take about 4 ounces of cream cheese, and I'm going to put it just in a cup like that. And then along with that, I'm going to just take a locally made ranch dressing that we get at our grocery store right here in town. And I'm just going to put that together. And then I'm going to go ahead and set that on the back of the aga as well. I just want that cream cheese to soften. And then we're going to take a cucumber and we're going to just do a nice light peel on that cucumber. And then we'll go ahead and cut it into slices. These are about an 1/8 of an inch wide. There we go. And then I've got a little tiny heart cookie cutter. And I'm just going to go through and cut all of those slices into little heart shapes. Then these little pieces that are left, I can just come in with my knife and chop those up and just throw them right into a salad. Okay, now that my cream cheese and my ranch dressing have softened, I can stir those together. And then I'm just going to use that right on top of each of these little cucumber hearts, just to dollop on there. Just a little bit is sufficient. And it doesn't even have to be pretty, because we're going to be putting some other things on there. So I'm actually just sliding that dressing just right onto the cucumber. Okay, now that those are on, we're going to go to our next layer of our little healthy snack. So I have some ham, and I actually have a couple of slices. I'm going to try to do these together to make this faster. So let me see if that's going to work. If I can pull them apart pretty easily, I can. So those are going to go on right on top of that dressing there. And in fact, to make it even faster, I'm going to fold it. So just like the cucumbers, I don't want to waste these little bits, and they're just perfect to just go ahead and cut even smaller, and we're going to throw those into a salad. So when all is said and done, besides everything else, I'm going to have a really yummy salad. Okay, now we'll just come back through with a little bit more of our dressing, so that our next step, we can lay down a couple of little cherry tomatoes cut into parts, and so that we can kind of hold that heart look. The last thing we're going to do now is just take a little bit of fresh rosemary, and we're going to give that a little sprinkle to get a little bit of an herb taste and a little bit more color. So I'm going to just cut that up. And then we're going to go ahead and just sprinkle that on top of all of our little heart snacks. Now, if you're vegetarian, of course, you can leave off the meat, change the layers, whatever works for you. But there's an idea for a quick and healthy snack. It can go on a cracker and be a canapé for kids or for lunches. But there you go. That's just a quick, easy, stacked Valentine snack. So let's see how those taste. Really good. Really fresh. I particularly like that little bit of rosemary on top that just gives that nice rounded flavor. Really good. Give it a try for Valentine's Day. So I have some butter softening on the Aga right here. And so let's check our peanut butter. Oh, look at that. Look how well that has melted just sitting there on the back of the Aga. That is just perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish the Avalanche bars. Okay, so I see that there are still a few chocolate chips that need to melt. So I'm going to put this on the back of the Aga for just a little bit longer while I get the dish ready for the Avalanche bars. So to get this dish ready, all I need to do is get a piece of parchment and just push it in the bottom there. This will keep the Avalanche bars from sticking down. Oh yeah, that looks really good. So it's all smooth now and ready to add the rest of the ingredients. I really like this recipe. It's so easy. Just a really great recipe that a lot of people like. So the next part of that is some Rice Krispie cereal. And I'm going to put in 6 cups. This is the half recipe. So the one I did in the Christmas last minute gift video was the full recipe, and it makes a big huge pan if you saw that video. But I'm doing the half recipe because we just don't need that much. I'm going to use this as a Valentine's Day dessert, but also as a teacher gift. And so I don't need as many as I would normally use at Christmas time. But it still makes just a really great giveaway. Okay, so once that's in and mixed, then I'm going to add 4 cups of miniature marshmallows. This is the small bag. So in the larger recipe, you use the whole big 16-ounce bag, but this is just an 8-ounce bag. So that's going to be perfect. And then last of all, we're just going to throw in a bunch of M&Ms. Now that that's pushed down, I'm going to leave the parchment on top, and I'm going to go put it in a cold garage or a fridge for, half hour, however long.
ASMR.
Okay, now we're going to make our next Valentine's Day food. And so this is a recipe that I got in Scotland several years ago from a nice Scottish woman. And so these are real authentic Scottish scones. So the first thing I'm doing is just kind of smashing up my butter that's been softened with a pastry blender. And of course I softened my butter on the Aga. Now I'm going to add 1 3/4 cups of flour. And then I'm going to add a 2.5 tablespoons of sugar. Just kind of get that mixed together there, and we'll get that butter coming off the pastry blender. There we go. All right, and now we will add a teaspoon of salt, or wait, that was, what was that? Soda, a teaspoon of soda, and a teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. Okay, so cream of tartar is an acid, actually, that helps balance the scone. And because of the way we cut them, they always tend to end up in a heart shape. And so I thought that would make it really fun. Mix those dry ingredients with the butter until the butter is just in really small bits. And it resembles cornmeal. That's what they always say. And now, just to give this an extra, a really extra nice Valentine's Day vibe, I'm going to throw in there some dried cranberries. I think that looks good. And then that'll give it that little bit of color. And then we toss those around with those dry ingredients, and then having the flour on the cranberries helps hold them in the scone so they don't fall to the bottom of the scone. Okay, now that we've got that all together, we're going to put in 2/3 cup of milk, and we'll just get that stirred together. Now, the moisture in the air on the day you make these actually can make a difference in how these scones turn out and whether you need to add extra flour or not. Okay. It's a cold day here, but it's pretty dry. Okay, there we go. And we don't need to over mix it. Then what I'm going to do is just take that whole thing, and I'm going to just turn it into a round about the size of my hand. That's how I measure a 6-inch round. It's about like that. And I like them to be thick. And then I'm going to get my bench scraper. Okay, and then I just cut it into 6 pieces. I just kind of eyeball it and try to get them roughly the same size. And then I actually put them on a cookie sheet, and I like to actually cook them close together, because as they raise together, but we can still see each separate little scone, but I think they dry out less. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and take these and we'll put them in the bottom of the roasting oven. The bottom is the coolest part of the roasting oven, and they need to cook in a hot oven for 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set my timer, and then while those are cooking, I'm going to get things cleaned up, because I've got a sink full of dishes and a countertop that's full of stuff. So we'll get that cleaned up, and then I'll show you those scones as soon as they come out. Let's see how these are looking. Gorgeous! Look at those. Oh, they look beautiful. So I just want to show you how good those look. And they just baked up just so perfectly in the roasting oven. Well, let's get some strawberry jam because it's pink and very Valentine's Day. Give them a try. So let's cut right into that. Real true Scottish scones. Oh, they're just breaking apart. They're so light and fluffy. And I have here my homemade strawberry jam. But look at that. Oh, Get that nice pink Valentine's Day look to it. And then I also, you may have noticed this sitting on the back of the Aga. We keep bees. So one piece of this, I'm going to use the honey that we harvested from our bees this past summer. We harvested in August and we got a lot more honey than we thought out of our flow hive. You can also see the video about that, about the honey harvest. Okay, so let's give a try to our Valentine's Day Scottish scones with cranberries. Mmm, mmm, mmm. That's the one with honey. Mmm. So good. It's fluffy and crunchy, and those cranberries have this extra kind of little chewy texture to it. Really good. Okay, I'm gonna break off a bit of this, the one with the strawberry jam. They're a little messy. Mmm. Mmm. That's my favorite. So good. And that roasting oven of the Aga cooked it up perfectly, exactly 10 minutes, perfect scones. So try those out for a Valentine's tea, a Valentine's lunch, a Valentine's breakfast, or brunch, or whatever. Okay, let's just take a really quick minute. I have this little box that I got at the dollar store. And so I just want to cuten it up just a little bit so that it can become a nice little Valentine's gift for one of my daughter's teachers. So I have just scraps of vinyl. We're not using the Cricut for this craft. We're going to use scraps of vinyl, some pretty ribbon, and some two-sided tape or a tape runner. And this is only going to take just a minute. There's a seam in the box, and so I want to make all of the seams of my paper end up in that same spot. And so basically what I'm going to do is take this adhesive vinyl strip that I have left. We're going to put that around the bottom, and that's going to be the beginning of our cute little Valentine's gift. So you watched me make the Avalanche Bars. So we'll get this little box done, and then I'll show you how I'm going to cut those bars and get them into the box. At the dollar store at this time of year, there are a lot of pretty little boxes that you can get and just do even minimal decoration like I'm doing here, using some scraps of this and that, and just make them cute so that you can give pretty gifts for Valentine's Day. So that that adhesive vinyl just goes on great. I cut it with my paper cutter. Didn't use a Cricut for that. And so that's our first little layer of pretty. And then I'm going to just take the ribbon, and I'm going to use my tape runner and just do a nice run of tape down one side and then the other. And when I do this, it's really nice to have this paper calendar that I talked about in my cleanup video with ideas for craft spaces. This paper calendar that's, I got it for $1 because it was last year's calendar. And I got it at the office supply. And so they were selling all of those old ones. And in fact, they still had a whole bunch the last time I was there. But it's just so nice because as soon as I'm done with this craft, I can just take that paper up and throw it away. And I've used it for several crafts. So there you go. And then this last piece of scrap vinyl that I have, I'm going to use that right on the top. So I'm just going to trace a line right around that. and cut that out. And then that's going to go on the top. And then, of course, a Valentine's Day embellishment, and we're done. Okay. So let's just center that on there. Okay. And then that can go down. I have various hearts and some chipboard stuff. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use that. And that's just a chipboard heart. You could, of course, cut hearts out of paper. Just going to use this little embellishment here. Stick that on. There you go. A pretty little box. Simple. That took me, what, maybe 5 minutes, and I used up just scraps and things I already had to create a nice little box for a teacher gift. Just a reminder, I have my 14 Valentine's ideas, fun ideas for the whole family, 5 romantic ideas for mom and dad. My little book, it also includes a couple of games and some homemade Valentine ideas. You can get that free in my Facebook group. It's called Coming Home, and it's in the files section of that Facebook group, and you're free to join. I'd love it if you did. And go ahead and get this as a free download and get busy on having some Valentine's Day fun. Okay, so let's take our little box that we made and go upstairs back to the kitchen. The Avalanche Bars are set, and it's time to get it in the box. So we're going to take off the parchment, and we're going to pull them out right onto a cutting board. And then I have the box I just made, and so I have some cookie cutters, so I'm gonna, that's too big. So that looks like it'll be just about right to go in that box. So what I'm going to do is just take that cookie cutter and press it down right through those bars. The bars are really thick, so I'm just going to kind of cut this out a little bit so that I can actually get that heart shape out. There, see how that comes out? And then I can just push it through the rest of the way to get that whole heart shape all the way around. But then look how nicely that comes out. This is one of the reasons I really like the Avalanche Bars, is that they hold that shape so well. But it just makes this perfect heart shape. And then you can cut these into bars. You can cut them actually into any shape, any size you want. So now I'm going to measure my box to the parchment paper, and I'm going to cut it a little bit taller than what my box is. So I'm just gonna fold that to give me a gauge, and then I'm just gonna come back through with a good sharp knife, go ahead and cut that, and then that can go right around in my box, just like that. I like to put a little circle of parchment in the bottom anyway. So there you go. So I've got my parchment on the outside, a parchment circle on the bottom, and then I'll just slide that heart right in there. And it looks like 2 hearts would be even better than 1. Let's do our second heart. And push it out of the heart. There we go. And then that one will go in the box too. And that's just about perfect. So then you come back through and you can just fold the parchment right around those and the lid on, and then you've got just a really nice little Valentine surprise for a teacher or a friend. Okay, so we've had a little bit of a break. It's getting closer to evening now. It's getting dark because it gets dark so early in the winter. And so we're getting ready for a Valentine's dinner. So the first thing we're going to do, I got some ground beef, and we're going to go ahead and use that heart shape, and we are going to create heart-shaped hamburgers. So we like a thickish hamburger, and so we're going to just get that ready, put it into a triangle, and then we'll bring in our heart-shaped cookie cutter and go ahead and get that cut out. And I'm going to go ahead and make a bunch of heart-shaped hamburgers. Okay, so let's get those in the roasting oven. They won't take too long. And then while those are roasting, I'm going to go ahead and spray down my counter and get everything cleaned up, get my heart cutter cleaned up so that everything is safe and bacteria free, and then we'll go on from there. When I clean up my counter after using meat, I like to use a cleaner that is food safe. It's safe for kids. It's not dangerous. It doesn't have a million warning labels on it, but it also has a lot of research behind it and is really good at killing germs and bacteria. And so I like to just really make sure I get my counter nice and clean. And that is a big part of why I just do the meat right on the counter, because it's just so easy to clean up when you've got a really good, safe, environmentally friendly cleaner that actually does kill germs. So the next part of this process is to also make our buns heart-shaped. And so they might be a little, because our cutter is pretty big, they might not be exact, but you know what? The kids will get the point, and that will make it fun. So there we go, our heart-shaped buns. We really like cheese in our family. My personal favorite is Swiss. And so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to go ahead and do the heart-shaped cheese slices. Super easy to do. Look how cute that is. So we'll go ahead and get those done. And then this is more that we can cut up and use in a salad. Oh, I need to mention that before I didn't show it on film, but before I put in the hamburgers, I did salt and pepper them so that they've got a little bit of flavoring. Now, one of the things I should point out about the Aga is because it is cast iron, it heats all the way around every one of the ovens. And so where in a normal oven you would have a heating element on the bottom and on the top, you get that heat coming from those two directions. But in an Aga, once the cast iron is heated up, you get radiant heat all the way around, from the top, the bottom, all of the sides, the back, and the front. And so everything cooks very evenly. And one thing I love about it is you really don't have to flip food very often. So where in a normal oven, I would be flipping the hamburgers partway through. In the oven, in the Aga, I don't have to do that because they're cooking from the bottom and the top at the same time. And so it really seals in the flavors and the moisture into the food. And what I've noticed is my meat shrinks a lot less than it does in a conventional oven. And I don't know if it's just that heat's coming from all sides and just seals it in, but the food tends to be more moist and maintain that moisture and doesn't dry out. So that's been really great. So I can kind of put it in the oven and just forget about it for a few minutes so that I don't have to go back in and flip. I will go in though to put on the cheese. Okay, so the things we like to put on our hamburgers are, of course, the bun. We have mayo, ketchup, mustard, avocado, lettuce, tomatoes, and onions, pickles. Those are the things we like. And so I'll get one together and you can see what it looks like finished. Okay, so let's see how that hamburger tastes. It's big. So here we go. Wow. That's a really good hamburger. It's cooked all the way through and it's moist. Oh man, yummy. The Aga cooked it perfectly and did it really quickly, and I didn't have to flip it because it was cooking from all sides. But that is really good. So, for Valentine's Day, try the heart-shaped hamburgers. I think your family will really like it.